Hello. This 2024 Honda Transalp is a disappointment 37 years in the making. I blame the EPA.
If Honda had built this 5 years ago, I'd be filming its praises. 460 pounds soaking wet means I can squirt it through double track, bring it through no track when I'm feeling sadistic, yet there's still power to hit 200. Sideways. Middleweight was always the right class for adventuring, and the XL 750 wears it well. It's just easier to brute force through my lack of technique.
But come to a party 5 years late and there won't be any thrones left to sit on, aside from being cheapest by like $800. I don't mean to belittle $800, that's a week's groceries these days. But this is Honda. They must have engineered something to stand out in its class, and judging from this ballard of an oil sump, it's not off-road performance.
Parks Canada couldn't have designed a better discouragement for fence hopping.
Still, I hoped for touring excellence because the original was a quiet giant in the trans-European scene. Its engine routinely survived 500,000 clicks. It carried an 18-liter reservoir and a phone booth of highway wind protection. Also a turning circle that was equally easy to ride in a hedge maze.
But don't trust my testimony on 12-hour tourability. Ask the motor cops in Spain, Austria, Greece, Holland, and Britain.
Yet I doubt any fuzz would choose the new one. This 16.9-liter tank is a backstep that asks me to stop every 300 kilometers. The tires hide tubes, so the only way to address a puncture with a rope is to hang yourself. And this non-adjustable windscreen actually does a perfect job of blocking buffeting if I cut my entire head off. Most baffling of all, however, is the lack of cruise control. I can tell by its skittishness that this is a throttle-by-wire, meaning cruise control would have cost Honda the price of a button if they weren't too scared to step on African twin soil. It's frustrating because this seat is comfiest in class. The vibration damping is second smoothest to none, and that tumor of an oil sump holds 3.9 liters to the competitor's 2.7. Meaning I could and would stretch the maintenance intervals. And the makings of a standout tourer are here, it's just not spec'd competitively.
That's where the Touareg is so special. Aprilia has no flagship adventure bike, so they can fully garnish their 660 without fear of cannibalism. Adjustable suspension, tubeless tires, cruise control, all reasons to not tour on a Transalp.
I feel like this motorcycle is withholding features just because they exist on the Africa Twin. Take Insta360's new X4 as the counterpoint. It shoots 8K, which sounds like an imaginary number to one who grew up on HD DVD. But what that resolution means in a 360 camera is that I can reframe on anything and still be at 4K, which is what the internet expects from free YouTube content nowadays.
So I essentially have a 360 camera and a normal camera in one. But unlike Honda, Insta360 didn't hide features just because they exist on the Ace Pro.
Case in point, wearing a helmet, wearing gloves, I still get gesture control to start and stop recording. And I still get Bluetooth connectivity to capture my voice through a Cardo or Senna. All of the flagship features are here, plus 8K. So if I can only afford one camera to capture my 12-hour trip, I'd actually click the link below and take the mid-range X4. The mid-range Transalp, not so much.
Still, there must be something here. The original had a racy style modeled in tribute to Honda's Dakar dynasty in 86, 87, 88, and 89.
But this just looks like an Africa Twin that was abused as a child. I mean, given the heritage of retro rectangles and tobacco dustbins, why choose the CB500's squinty eye? And why take the NC750's pedestrian plastics? It would be like if Honda styled the new NSX after the Civic. Actually, it's exactly like that. Woo! Underneath its frumpy frock, we have the 755cc crossblade from the new Hornet.
our Transalp is special at one thing. It's the sportiest oversquare of the bunch.
These stubby pistons buzz up faster than any middleweight. Woo! Now, usually Honda engines are Twinkies. They taste a bit vanilla and last forever, but this one stings. Woo! Such rapid revving is why Honda spec'd the quick shifter. Woo! You gotta tap dance on a frying pan to keep this Hornet engine on the pipe. I actually think it steers faster than the Hornet. It's a peculiarity of motorcycle engineering that sport bikes with their stubby clip-ons are usually slower to turn in. So having such wide counter-steering leverage on top of a true sport bike engine, that's a real novelty. Eee! Oh, what? Hold on. Huh? Where's my top end?
At 8,500 RPM, the would-be Speed King suffers from the same dysfunction as 52% of men, going all flaccid when the going gets good.
I pulled the valve numbers, and sure enough, when you hit 8,500 RPM, the ECU starts closing your throttle, no matter what you do with your wrist.
Put it together, and the EPA is to blame.
See, in Europe, motorcycles must ride at 30 miles per hour in second gear, then accelerate wide open past a microphone 7.5 meters away. Zoom, zoom. But in America, motorcycles must ride at 55% of the RPM where they make peak horsepower, and then accelerate wide open past a microphone 15 meters away.
Now, I prefer a quiet motorcycle and would have no problem with a more stringent standard if it were. But North American bikes aren't actually quieter because, by the EPA's logic, they can make all the noise in the world at redline. As long as it's quiet enough at the RPM where it makes peak horsepower, it'll pass. A loophole that outlines the cheapest trick in motorcycle manufacturing.
They code the ECU to close your throttle valves early. So the motorcycle makes its peak horsepower 1,500 RPM lower, cheating the EPA test to start at a lower volume and thereby pass.
It's silly, but that's why the Transalp is so disappointing. It was designed to stand out as the 90 horsepower middleweight, the Queen Hornet of twisty roads that can still hang with T7s and Tuaregs everywhere else. And in Europe, it is exactly that.
But thanks to EPA Title 40, Chapter 1, Subchapter G, Part 205, Subpart D, Appendix 1, we get just another 80 horsepower middleweight with a weird power curve and an $800 discount. Some say you could take that $800, get an ECU flash, and make the bike how Honda meant it to be. Some say that would make it illegal on public roads, but some say there's no way a cop could tell. All I can say is, thanks for watching.
Offcuts are brought to you by the Insta360 X4. Now first, this undampable pogo stick is so awful that when I saw this hard, soft casting above this plastic plug, I actually tried turning it. It's not an adjuster, and it sprayed nitrogen-propelled 5W on my favorite shirt. A second, blowing the dust out of the air filter requires the removal of this fairing, this side panel, that side panel, the seat, the dashboard, and the tank. So as a Ducati fan, I have to say that's pretty convenient. Thanks to the Insta360 X4 for capturing the entire world in 8K, so I can quickly shoot stuff I didn't have time to film otherwise. Click the link below if you happen to want a camera that does a bit of everything.